Thank you, and good afternoon, and welcome to the special committee, the Police and Committee meeting for June the 3rd. I'm calling the meeting to order, and the next thing I want to do is I thought it would be appropriate to take a moment of silence for all of our officers that are out there, not just in Topeka, but with everything that's going on in Texas and Oklahoma, and the store shooting. I forgot where that was at, but let us just take a few moments of silence for our officers, for our citizens, for those that are grieving. I thought that'd be appropriate. If we could, please. Amen. Thank you. Next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from March 24th. Has everybody had a chance to look at them?
Move to approve.
Move to approve. It's been moved and seconded. All's in favor, raise your right hand. It's 3-0. Okay, and the next is question and answers for recommendations. These are the recommendations that this committee has made. I put all three of our recommendations together, and on if you go to page 5 on the recommendations, this is 7 pages long. On page 5, I also wanted to reflect all of the meetings and what we discussed. And so I wanted to do that to bring awareness to not only the committee, but to constituents or anybody else that wondered what we discussed, or so it was a good thing for me to go back and refer to. So I wanted to let you know that that was on there. Do we want to take a few minutes to read them, to read the recommendations? I can stand for that, or we can move on to setting a date for our to the next agenda item, which is setting a date for the public input.
Madam Chair, probably it would be a good idea for us to.
Okay,
Maybe a couple minutes.
go ahead.
Thank you.
I've read over them and over them and over them, so I don't need to read over them again.
Has anybody from the police department seen them yet?
Nobody has seen these, Karen. I brought them straight to the meeting.
Just a question.
I'm just letting you know, I brought them
Okay.
straight to the meeting.
Okay.
And I handed them out here just to be fair and to make sure that, to keep in line with the GOMA, so. I also wanted to let the public know that Liz has posted them at 2 o'clock. Is that correct, Liz? Yes, ma'am. So they can go online and get these as well,
Okay.
so that everybody received them at the same time.
Where specifically will they find them, Madam Chair? On the city website? So,
Under our special committees, is that correct, Liz?
okay,
Under special committees, and then the Police and Community Relations Committee.
thank you.
It'll say the summary of recommendations. Karen, are you still reading, or are you marking it up, or are we ready to
Yes.
discuss?
I mean, I'm still,
Are we ready to discuss?
well, what I did was skim through it first and was going back a little more thoroughly. If I could have just a few more minutes, I would appreciate
absolutely.
it. Thank you.
To go to it, it's good food.
Okay, Mayor, we're ready. So I thought everybody's read the summary. I've took everybody's recommendations and I've put them into one summary. Now's the time to discuss. This is not final, but now's the time to discuss what we want to do. Any questions or answers? Any questions? We'll get you some answers. And then we want to, after that, set a date for the public input session.
Could you explain what your vision is then of what the next steps will be?
The next steps, okay, so here's all of our recommendations into one, okay? And then what I want us to do now is talk about, we can talk about if we want to take this out, or if we want to add something or whatever. Then after that, I want to set a date. You and Mike wanted to set a date for the public to come and ask any questions. They're going to have 4 minutes to come and ask questions, and we'll get back with them with the answers, okay? And then after that, we need to come back and if we want to make changes or do whatever we're going to do in the recommendations, and then from there, we would vote on them and then take them back to the council. I feel like with all the meetings we've had, we've covered, unless there's something that one of you guys can tell me that we didn't, I feel like we've covered everything that members of the public emails through everything. We've been through everything over and over and over again.
Okay, so your thought is one session, and the 4 minutes, I assume people could either ask a question or could make a comment, right? But just one public hearing and then back to us for final recommendations?
It's whatever this committee decides, whether it's 1 or 2 or however.
I just was trying to
Right, and
find out what you had in mind.
I'm just saying, whatever you guys decide on is fine with me.
One sounds fine to me. I'm not good at looking at a 5-page document compared to what I turned in and to give it a little thought in 15 minutes. So I'm not prepared, if you were wanting us to vote that this was our committee recommendation,
I didn't say that.
which is how that's how it's phrased right now. And so I would be more comfortable with
Karen, what the agenda says is question and answers for recommendations.
understand.
So that's any
But for
question.
instance, this has a statement that we recommend that there be more CIT and that we need more in the budget. There, I just don't have enough time. I put a lot of thought. I think you probably did accommodate everything that I said, but I don't have time. I wanted to be able to go back through it. You know, you, for instance, have sussed out of that it should be the Civil Service Commission and that we not talk about other alternatives.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
That's just what the recommendation was when I looked at all 3 recommendations.
I could see that rising to the top because we talked about it a number of times. but for it to go forward as the committee's recommendation,
It's just
I
a-
just need a little more time
It's
to
just a
look at it,
step
that's all.
forward. If we want to change it, we can change it. But it has to be agreed on the committee. That's all I did, is took all three recommendations, put them together, and then from this is just a starting point. That's basically what it is.
But you were wanting to go straight from this meeting into a public input session.
We don't have to, if that's what I wanted to do. But if you guys want to, if you don't want to do that, we can handle it a different way. I just don't want to, I feel like we've been on it for a long time. I feel like we've had enough testimony. I really wanted us to discuss it and then have it go straight to the council. You and Mike said you guys wanted to have the public input on it, and that's fine. So that's why I did what I did. I only took from the minutes what was said and what we all agreed on. So that's where I'm at. If you want to change that, you guys want to change it, we can change it. Because it has to come out of this committee and it has to come from all three of us. So that's just kind of what I had said the last time, and that's how we kind of went with the agenda.
Madam Chair? Looking through this, I recognize some things that I sent to you and others. I'm not, I guess, taken by surprise or anything. I do see some thoughts and ideas that maybe I didn't submit, and that's good, because I want it to be a compilation of everything that we're working through as a group. I have a couple questions in here about some of the suggested recommendations. And if you want to do that today,
We can.
Councilman Hiller suggests that she would like to have more time to go through it. And I'm not opposed to that. I just don't want another month to go by to have time to go through it. I mean, we've done it for 2 years now, and I'd like to see it move forward. Just like, there's one thing in here I just jotted down about crime summits. I know that it's a suggestion in here. I know we could get into the details of how often, how it would be organized, blah, 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 all that other kind of stuff. We could be here for quite a while going through this. I'm comfortable with having seen this in its draft form to give us, I don't know, a week to look at it and as a committee, compile questions and send them to you as the chair, and then we can come back and say, this is, after a review, these are the questions we have and so forth. And then beyond that, I'm comfortable with moving toward a session for the community to give us their feedback, because they just saw it too, I would imagine, if it just went online. And they would be able to send stuff in. And am I understanding the community session would be, is it going to be a give and take question and answer, or is it just going to be comment on what we've come up with as a final recommendation? Because if we, like I said, if we take a week to look at it, sift through it, edit it, then that can be our final recommendation, and the community will see it, give them that opportunity to read it through it, and then the community can come and give us feedback on it.
If that's the way that you guys want to go, we can do that. If you guys want to come back, edit it, and then present that second one to the public, we can do that. I don't have a problem either way. That's whatever you decide.
I'm just suggesting that since we just saw this in its final form, and I don't have major issues in here, but I do have some questions about detail, and I don't know that it has to be the devil in the details of our summary, and not really go into a whole lot, but at least to give us a little bit of time to send to you any questions we might have that we would want to address in our final recommendation. But I would want to move quickly on it.
I guess I wasn't making this a final because once we
Yeah.
hear the public and question and answer, I don't know if that would change something that we might want to take out as well.
Sure.
So that's kind of why I brought this to us. I'm not even calling it a draft. Here's the recommendations. If we want to look at it, we can take it out, do whatever. But you have to remember, if you're going to ask for public input, and I thought that was your reasoning behind having public input, is so if it's something they say that we like, or we might want to add or change, then we can do that. So it might be done twice. I was just trying to
Yeah, I hear you.
do
I
it
hear
from
you.
twice, but we can do whatever, I'm willing to do whatever we need to do to get this out of committee.
Yeah.
And what I did is I looked at our recommendations. There's some things that, there's some topics that people didn't even recommend, but then there's two committee members that people recommended, make recommendations on others. And so I brought forth what I felt was, was the main two things of what people did. And there's some that were, there's some things that were not even recommendations.
Okay.
Anyway,
I see what you're trying to do. I'm not trying to delay it at all. I'm like you, I'd like to bring this out of committee and send it to the governing body.
I think it's ready to bring out a committee. As soon as we, listen to the public. So it's whatever you guys decide, whatever you guys want to change, let's do it, let's move forward with it. If you guys want to meet in a week, we could do that. I don't have a problem with it. It's whatever you guys want to do.
I'm trying to be as expeditious, but at the same time, not rush or push.
I guess what maybe it would help settle it, because we haven't talked it through, to have it be phrased as our recommendations right now. In fact, it's already gone public, but I'm not comfortable with that. It's like, it could say, it looks like this is what emerged out of the input and the conversations that we had. What do you think? And then let us make our recommendations after we've had the input. If we want it to be firm recommendations to propose, then I think we need a chance to look at it and fine tune the wording or the agreement that it really is our 3 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 recommendations on these different pieces. So it's clear for us and it's clear for people who are coming where we're at on it. I could go either way in terms of what we present, but I think how we present it so that it's clear is important. In either way, it's a busy time, but I could probably do a week and get back with either fine tuning, or we could look at just rephrasing that it looks like these, not owning it ourselves as our recommendations, but it looks like these things were emerging out of the process. What do you think? And then we'd finalize our recommendations either way after the public input. That makes sense? No.
You a little lost me, but
Yeah.
Well, the deal is this is phrased as our recommendations, and to me, we've got the input, but then we would need to fine tune exactly that we agree with the phrasing, and this is what we each, as a group or individually, are willing to support as a final recommendation from this, or a semi-final recommendation from this group. If instead we want to present it to the public that, which I think is what this is this is a document that it looks like this is what emerged out of all the conversations, which is different than it being our recommendation at this point.
This is what emerged out of the recommendations,
Out of,
out of the recommendations you submitted, that we submitted,
understood.
yeah.
Okay,
So
But I'm sure we
if
didn't turn in exactly the same thing.
No, we didn't turn in
Right.
exactly the
Right.
same. So they were. So this is what I did. I put the history in there. Let's start out with school resources officers. Let's say that there's 2 of us that said yes and 1 of us that says no. So this is what I did, is I took the 2 and I wrote it to the best of what the 2 recommendations were. And so if you guys would say, hey, well, we feel like we don't want it, then I think we need to take a vote, and it might be 2 to 1. I think on each different topic, we're gonna have to take a vote, or maybe say, you know, I like everything, but maybe the last thing, then we're gonna have to vote on that. I think that's when we're gonna have to start picking it apart and voting on it. That's the only way we're gonna get through
Well,
this.
and let me say clearly, I think you did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
We covered a lot of ground, there was a lot of material, you know, and notebooks literally full of comments and stuff that we had, and then whatever we turned in mutually, the three of us, and I think you did a wonderful job. I'm just that, well, what I'm hearing from you, if we should pencil through it, again, I would pencil through it differently if it was gonna say this is what emerged, then this is what this is our preliminary recommendation. So if we just know how we're gonna present it, we could get back together and
Well,
settle it.
the more I listen to you, the more I'm confused about how you phrase it as to whether it's emerging or what our recommendation is. Or if we're going to look at it, let's say for a week, and send recommendations to the chair, then I think this is what we're recommending.
Then that's fine.
Yeah, and then it's put out there, and if we want to have that community feedback, we can get that feedback.
Right.
I don't know that continues the committee further on. You can get the feedback and say, okay, we've heard that, and the council will take it under consideration when they get our recommendations. Because they're the final say, not just us, obviously.
I think if we've had a public hearing, we owe it to the people in the public hearing and the council to go back and see if the public input has, again, mutually amongst the committee, whether we think we should make any changes or whether we think it's fine. I think we owe it to the council to do that. It shouldn't take much time.
Yeah.
And if we do go through it and settle fully informed that this is our committee recommendation, it particularly shouldn't take long. So,
Will we be, I'm sorry, Chair,
Go ahead.
will we be getting public feedback now that it's been posted? I mean, is there a way for the public to now comment on what's been posted?
Well, I'm sure we're gonna get emails, and I'm sure they're gonna post them, but you guys wanted to set a date for public input.
Yeah.
So that's the input that we have. That's gonna be their public input, because you guys wanted to set a date, so that's the next, a step that you guys have already agreed on. If you wanna change that, we can. What I told you I was doing is I had everybody submit to me their recommendations. We did that. And this is a draft that I took from those recommendations. And I think the community will look at them and they'll say how they feel, or they'll say what they think needs to be changed, or give their opinion or whatever. But that's where this summary of recommendations came from. So I guess now you guys need to decide if you want to meet in a week. I just need to know where we need to take this forward so we can move forward. At some point, if you have questions and at some point, we're gonna have to discuss that.
what were you thinking about in terms of when we would do the public hearing? Like by the end of this month? Soon?
I didn't,
Okay.
I want the committee to vote on something, whatever
I
you
just
guys see
wondered.
fit, yeah.
In terms of moving it, as you both said, I'm just asking.
Well, can we meet, like I said, within a week? That would put us to the
so.
10th. The committee can meet, we can give any suggestions or edits,
So what's gonna happen on the 10th? Tell me what you guys wanna do.
and then we'll meet as a committee, and we can discuss those edits
Right.
that
If any.
were sent to the chair and may or may not incorporate. And then maybe
What day did you say?
the 10th would be next Friday.
That's good.
And then we're looking at,
Excuse me.
if you want to give the public a week to see it,
So the next meeting, let's start with the next meeting. It'll be just edits and discussion.
And a vote.
And a vote.
And a vote, a
Yeah.
final vote?
Yeah,
Well,
I think
well, no,
so.
a vote on what our recommendations
This-
would be for the public input.
The final piece.
Yeah.
This is our final product,
Okay.
for the
Well,
most part, right? Our recommendations.
well, if we call it semifinal, let's say, if we're putting it out for public input, then it should mean something, right? So preliminary recommendations, and then you get the public input, and then you finalize either what you had or you amend it a little bit.
So are we voting before the public input or after the public input? Because I thought you wanted public input so that if we needed to change anything, we could do it after the public input.
I agree. The deal is if we're going to put it out as our preliminary recommendation, I want a chance to go through it before it's got my name on it as,
Well,
So-
Can't we do that on the 10th?
I agree. I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so we're gonna edit and discuss and then vote on it, on the, okay?
And then if you look at, if you give the public, what, maybe a week to read it, and then schedule the public input on maybe not the 21st, that's our council meeting, isn't it?
That's a Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We could go the
we could still do it
28th.
on 21st and do it earlier. Or when did you say?
Well, the 28th is the Tuesday that's not a council meeting, but
Yeah, but again, we're getting to the end of the month again, and I'd like to see it done
Do you wanna
if we can, by the
do you
end
want to
of the
stick with Fridays? I'm okay with that, actually.
month. The 24th?
Yeah, I think
I won't
even,
be in town.
you won't?
No,
What about 17th?
I will be in town.
What day is the 17th, of Friday?
It's a
Yeah,
Friday.
it's all those are all Fridays.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, Friday, June 17th, okay. For public input? If
I
everybody.
think so.
Yeah,
And that would be hybrid, right? So we'd be here, or someplace. Okay,
Providing we can schedule that.
right?
Okay.
Unless there's something major, I don't think it would take us much time after that public input session to review. And you and I have done it both ways in some things in the past. You know, maybe it, again, would be too sudden to do it right then in case somebody wanted to bring us some documents or I don't know what. We could
Well-
have one more brief meeting to,
I'll let you
Finish
know
it.
when this comes before the council, they'll have opportunity to have public input as well.
that's right.
So,
so if we do the 10th, the 17th, then actually we could, if the chair wished, we could present it, put it on the agenda for the 21st of June, our council meeting.
we're not meeting on the 21st.
On 21st, why not?
Isn't that the fourth Monday or Tuesday?
No, but that's
That's
too
the third.
soon. I mean, our agenda process is that we're supposed to put information on 2 weeks out so that people have a chance to look at it and consider, the public and the
It'd be
council.
July.
It'd be, well, 2 weeks out is the 28th then.
Well, it could be on the first one of July.
At least our work would be done
Yeah.
to get it on the agenda. At least our work would be done.
Right. Are we meeting on the 5th? We are, aren't we, of July?
Probably, I think.
Yeah, because, I don't know. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more meetings. There will always be one more topic to throw on, and it'll just continue. We need to have a stopping point.
Well, I'd be okay with us concluding the public hearing on the 17th and deciding at that time whether any any testimony was submitted such that we wanted to consider it and incorporate it into our final recommendation or not. If we decide, no, it's going forward the way it is, then we're done. But if we feel that there is some testimony that was strong enough that we want to change the recommendation before it goes to council, we could decide that at the end of the meeting on the 17th as well. Probably not a week later if you're gone on the 24th, but, you know, shortly after that, we would be able to reconvene and hammer out whatever, enough time if somebody needed to give us some phrasing or some input or whatever, or read a document, but it should be a pretty short meeting to then finish this up and prepare it to send to council. And if we did it shortly after the 17th, whenever we could, that would hit the agenda schedule to have it on the council agenda as early as the 5th of July, or if that's crowded for some reason, you know, whenever they can put it in.
Just so long as, and I don't mean to be speaking out of turn, Chair, just so long as we have an end date in sight and that we
Right.
don't continue or more sessions.
No, I
Because
don't,
we could edit until,
no.
I don't know how much more,
I don't see a lot in here. I just see, for me, just, it's more of a consideration for the fact that this is the combined document. Give us a chance to look at it. It's out available to the public. They can look at it. We'll probably get some feedback already. And so we'll probably be prepared for a lot of that on the 10th. And we can make a pretty, I think, some good edits and decisions then and move forward with it. So, because as much as we are ready for this to come out of the committee, I think the public is ready for it to come out of committee.
I agree. But I think, you know, if you're going to have a public hearing,
Yeah.
then there's an assumption that what they say matters, and that, you know, either it affirms what you've come up with, or if they have a suggestion for an improvement or modification, that you're going to take it, you know, because the council's counting on us to do all that vetting, so that what they get is something we think is done, if you will. So,
Oh. I'm hoping that council members will look at what we have put out there today and also give us some back and feedback so that it doesn't all come back at the council meeting and at the last minute.
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There's plenty of time to look at it.
Well, is it appropriate for Liz to alert them that this is preliminary and that we were going to discuss and finalize that before public input next week? And if anybody had some preliminary thoughts on it, to send them to you or to Liz or whatever the
as a
protocol should
chair,
be?
I'll send out an email. Yeah.
Okay,
Discussing
it's a good idea.
what's the next steps.
a good
Either
idea.
myself or Liz, probably myself, though.
Well, I'd like to, if I may, add to what Councilwoman Hiller said. I can imagine there was similarities and probably real different views on what we've been doing, and to try and bring them together and put them into a single document. I think you've done a good job of covering all that we covered in 2 years. And detailing the meetings helps too, for somebody who might have not been able to follow it all and ask the question, well, did you cover this? Well, you can document right here that it was discussed. So we've done, and you've done an excellent job of detailing our work. So I think it comes to me as a committee member, it's something that I am comfortable with what you've done, Chair, and I appreciate all the time that you spent doing it. I saw your Jeep down at City Hall
I
a
think
lot.
everybody knows my Jeep.
Yeah, so I know you're putting in some time. So I do appreciate that, and thank you for that in advance. And look forward to the final product so that we can
Move
get
forward.
this out. Thank you.
Yes, Karen.
I have one, looking at this, one simple suggestion that I think will help frame what people are looking at when they get it. If we could have Liz change the heading on this only to say draft 6/3/22 on this document.
She did ask me that, and I told her no. But okay, we can do that. We could throw a draft on it.
If it says draft, then everybody, then that fits in with the fact that their input's timely if they want to give it, and that we're going to look at it. And it's always good to date documents in my view.
Sure.
So.
We can do that, right, Liz? She's
Probably
like, I
done,
told
she's
you.
typing.
She's probably like, I hate to say I told you so. Okay. I just want to say that this journey has been educational. It's been tough. It's been easy. It's been very informative to get everybody's recommendations and to try to figure out what they were saying and how they were saying it after 2 years. And it's been timely, but it's been well worth it, the task. And I do want to thank my colleagues for sticking in there with me. And the police chief for sticking in there. I think he got drafted right before he was chief, and that's how it goes sometimes. But I am very, very pleased at a lot of this that I've seen. And Mike, I did put a lot of time and effort into this because this is something that all three of us have taken very serious. And I went through all of my notes. I went through the videos. I didn't want to leave anything unturned. Listened to a lot more videos. Spent a lot of time with Liz. I think Liz will be glad when this gets out, so I'll get out of the dang office. But I didn't take this lightly. I don't think any of us have taken this lightly. But we have answered every concern and listened to every concern that our constituents and that the citizens have brought to us. So I feel good about it. I really do.
That's all right.
I feel really good. Whatever you guys want to do, however you want to tweak it, I'm fine with that. But I feel good with this. I really, really do.
I do too, and as you say that, probably one thing I will tuck in there is something that has impressed me, and we've talked about it along the way, is that many good things happened during this process, and I give credit to Chief and the members of the department that upgraded the training programs, upgraded redid the administrative policies, took the suggestions as they evolved into account with policies, procedures, and even the big programs like SAVE, and I can't remember all the acronyms all the time, but a lot happened in the course of this time. Good things happened, and I appreciate that too. I'm not suggesting that we go itemize them all, but on the other hand, they're making reference to the fact that a lot of things happened. It's probably worth it. It was good.
So if there's anything that you guys need from the presentations or any of the material that was sent to us, if you find you don't have it, feel free. It's all sitting on my desk. I have it. You can have everything but my notes. I don't know if you'll be able to read my notes, but I think Captain Holcomb is available, correct?
Deputy Chief Holcomb.
Deputy Chief, oh God, don't tell him I said that.
I won't. He would be available if you needed him.
And he has been right on target with things that I kind of forgot. He brought back to my memory. So again, we'll see everybody on the 10th. Is there anything else? If not, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you did a good job.